Alright, next I want to introduce you to my friend from 1996. We've been comrades and friends for a long time. T.A.C.O, taking all capitals out. He's from a revolutionary group called the Black Writers Liberation Party. A long time ago, this is over like 10 years ago, we used to do group studies at the New Panther headquarters. And at that time I was living in Orange County, so they would come down and do workshop with, they'll meet up with our collective. Then we would drive to the South Central LA. We have weekly group studies. And not just group studies, we would also go and, this is like over 10 years ago, we would also go to college campus, at the Fullerton College campus, to outreach, talk to the students there, pass out literatures and stuff. There was a place in Santa Ana called Cruz Cafe. There they would come down. We did all kinds of events together, like punk rock bands, hip hop bands, like that. Then in South Central, at the New Panther Vanguard headquarters, we did animal rights benefit. We try to connect all the movements to get together and stuff. Also we had a couple of friends come down. Also, he did security at the animal rights. Even if he's not a vegetarian, he will come down and support the whole animal rights movement all the way down in Orange County. So this is over 10 years ago. We had that strong solidarity, back and forth, back and forth. However, as time went by, I moved to Los Angeles, and he's gonna talk about more about what his group is about. We might have all different political differences, but we come together as a common ground and we work together. So I'm going to introduce you to T.A.C.O, which stands for Taking All Capitalists Out.
All power to the people.
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 Come on, don't be scared. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
We out here representing unity today. We the Black Riders Liberation Party. We consider ourselves to be the new generation Black Panther Party. Contrary to the media images and the sensationalization of the Black Panther Party, we roll with everybody, black, brown, and white. As long as they stood against this racist, ruling class, capitalist system, then we would win. That's very important because we out here right now representing all colors, different viewpoints, different ideologies. Yeah, we represent a true ideology up here today. You see in the media how different groups have been pushing an extreme anti-white line. And that is not, I repeat, that is not our position. Our position is based on history. Our position is that all lower class people need to unite and organize against these demons who run this system, who run this government, who run the ruling class, which is the shadow government. The ruling class never shows itself. It is a shadow government. They put the puppet heads out there, let you see them so you can direct your anger, but behind the scene it's the big corporation, the big businessman. All right, let's talk about the history of our people, black people, who was drugged here, bust upside the head in Africa, drowned on at gunpoint, and forced to be in this country. But before we got here, we must look at the true history of the 13 colonies. We must look at the true history of America. When they first started up this system, when they first started up this country, they used the majority of y'all who here, poor whites, to do the work. But because of the white skin, they knew that y'all could just jump a gate. They knew that y'all could just run quick and go amongst the rest of the white population who was slave masters, even if you was poor white. And you couldn't push that line of slavery. It was too easy for you to get away. So let's not overlook the fact of what happened to white people before they even drug Africans here. Y'all was put in another form of slavery called indentured servitude. The natives, they put them in slavery too. But they knew the land, they knew the environment. They could jump the gate and go get with the neighboring tribe, and they would be accepted, and they would rebel. So after going through all these groups of people, through exploitation and slavery, they decided to go to Africa because they knew that our skin color will become a badge of inferiority if they push white superiority, white supremacy. But they knew they had to convince poor whites to roll with it. They already understood the severity of lower class people getting together and overthrowing them. So what did they do? After they drug us here at gunpoints and nets and chains and big bold motherfucking block balancing meters so we couldn't even walk or run, because you see the chains and all that, but you don't see them big ass bars, metal bars strapped to our motherfucking neck. So we couldn't even run, so we were wild. Some of us was put where a tree was cut in half, and each one of us would be tied by the neck in line. So once they brought us here, they wanted to bring division between the poor blacks and the poor whites. They knew it was plenty of rebellions. Read the New Slave Revolts. Read the book where it tells you that whites and blacks got together and went against many slave masters, killed them brutally and their children. So what did they do? They came with what they always been coming with. They offered the poor whites a psychological bribe. See, it wasn't a monetary bribe. It was a psychological bribe. They convinced the poor whites that if you align with their white supremacy, no matter how poor you is, you still better off than them niggas. This is what they pushed to y'all. Some of y'all even went so far as to jump on the back of them damn horses and became overseers to us on the plantation. Even though you were poor as hell, even though you was being exploited, you still jumped on the back of that goddamn horse and began to oversee us. Let's look at the truth. The truth is the police, which is all of our enemies, they was created right there due to the history of the police force. Where did they come from? Where did they start at? They became patty rollers. These was the first police forces that was created. Patty rollers, police officers. The connection is there. So some of y'all became these patty rollers which would hunt us down after we fled north with Harriet Tubman, trying to get away, and you drug us back. All because, not of a monetary bribe, but primarily a psychological bribe. We must reject this white skin privilege. You must unite with the poor, oppressed, colored people and destroy capitalism and imperialism. Anything else is bootlicking cowardism. Now we go on in history, because he told me to keep it short. We go on in history, and if you look in a book called The New Jim Crow, I've been pushing this book hard. And in The New Jim Crow, she breaks it down systematically on how poor white was always duped, was always tricked into siding with a white racist supremacist capitalist class. You must reject this today. Pick a side. Elder Cleaver and the original Black Panther Party, he taught us. Either you're a part of the problem or you're a part of the solution. So since you up in here listening to me today, I'm assuming off bat, you already done picked a side. You rolling with Jay Lee, you rolling with the Anarchist, you rolling with Michael Novick, I'm assuming you already done picked a side. You rolling with Occupy LA, you rolling with Occupy Oakland, you come around the country, I'm assuming already you done picked a side. But as we taught in the hood, you know, assume means you can make an ass out of you and me. Make an ass out of you and me. So I want to jump to no conclusion, just assume that you in here and you supporting the revolution, because you could be an undercover pig trying to figure out what I'm saying. But see, I'm up here in this vest, I'm up here representing Black Revolution. Obviously I don't give a fuck. Obviously I know you blew Martin Luther King face off, you blew Malcolm up, killed George Jackson, Fred Hampton, locked up Marilyn Buck. Yeah, they get y'all too. But I don't want to assume anything about anybody in this room. You have to let me know what you feel. Pick a side. Are you on the side of the oppressor, or are you on the side of the oppressed? It must be decided here today. You cannot go home and play anymore. Side with the revolution. do not side with imperialism. So when we go back into the history of the book I was just telling y'all about, the new Jim Crow, some of y'all don't even know what the hell Jim Crow is. Who is it, a person? Let's talk about just the term and the name Jim Crow. Well, Jim Crow was a white man who ran around during the period of slavery, who went on stage, who dressed in blackface. So what happened was, all the white people began to associate Jim Crow with ridiculing black people, stereotyping black people. So after the Emancipation Proclamation, once Lincoln delivered it, of course he was a clown, he didn't like us in no way. It was just a facade for the South to be destroyed. So without going into a fake-ass line as Abe Lincoln, we look at the fact that poor whites was manipulated. Nathan Bedford Forrest was brought into existence. He was a former Confederate officer who, of course, had lost the war. He was extremely upset. He was wondering why the hell these niggas is loose. So what he did was create something that we all have heard about. Nathan Bedford Forrest. He created the Ku Klux Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan, as we all know, primarily embodies poor whites. So once again, they came up with a trick to pull you away from the truth, to pull you away from revolution. So majority of poor whites began to flock to the recruitment of Nathan Bedford Forrest and the Ku Klux Klan. This is another way they have got poor whites and blacks to disconnect. So we must understand this history so we here today won't make the same errors, commit the same mistakes. Because it's a history to this shit. Don't get in this and don't be involved unless you know the true history. A lot of people seen us coming through the door just today. Was like, God damn it, is that the Black Panthers? I thought them guys was anti-white. We're all dead. Calm down. But pick a side though. Pick a side. You all right. You ain't waiting, you better hurry up and get out of here though. But going back into the history of Jim Crow. Jim Crow came with many different things. It wasn't just a name. Jim Crow brought about what is called the Black Code or the Slave Code. Where, of course, as we see how they doing the grounds, we had to have a license to show we were even human beings. That we should be able to walk down the street and breathe. We have to show a piece of paper. They told us also we cannot congregate, black people, in groups of 5 or 6. Because even on the plantation, and even during the period of Jim Crow, they knew if 5 black people got together, there's a good chance we could be conspiring to overthrow their ass. So that's why they do it today with the gang injunction. They tell us it's about gangs. No, that ain't the truth. They just don't want us to get together and conspire to deal with it. See, they try to do the same thing to Black Riders. They try to give us a gang injunction. They have the nerve to say that from Adams and Crenshaw to Slauson and Crenshaw, that was our gang hood. But if you know real black gangs, you know that embodies 4 different blood and crib hoods. See, but what the enemy know, he knew that we was bringing them gangs, bloods, and crips together. So he tried to gang injunct us. Ain't that some shit? The people out here putting unity out here, the people out here telling them to stop killing each other, they want to gang injunct us. Tell other people can't be together at 4 or 5, so the shit's still cracking. But back to the Black Code. But back to the Slave Code. Because it ain't really changed, we just peep out the script. So in the book, The New Jim Crow, Michelle Alexander tells us how y'all was bribed in. So when that happened, we began to migrate down north. They seen the revolutionary movement that went on in the 30s, but primarily the 60s. And they seen how the Black Panther Party got everybody together. Primarily, poor whites began to rally behind the party. But there were mistakes made. As Martin Luther King and a lot of our other leaders began to try to desegregate